We were just here on a short visit and just had a thought that, hey, this is a nice place, and this is a nice place to live all throughout the seasons. And you've got the luxury of a beautiful climate whilst being still in Europe. So that's how it started, and basically the rest is history. The past 2 years already. This is a very easy place to call home, to tell you honestly, because if you've got children, then you've got nature here. A lot of international organizations are here. A lot of different businesses are here. So for people, for foreigners like me, or for working moms like me, it's a good place to be because you get the quality of lifestyle that you want your family to have, not only during holidays, but also at the same time, you're not sacrificing work or anything. The impressions that I have with the Cypriot culture is that it's warm and friendly. Yeah, so this is the impression that you might get as a tourist, but also then that's a fact that becomes validated when you become a resident here. I really like how children easily integrate. I guess it's not even a question of language. I think that's something for us, for adults, to worry about. The language of children is play. Their language is smile. That's how they connect with each other. So when I saw that among my kids, then I didn't even worry about it. Yeah. I think even my best teachers now are my children, Kalimera, Efkaristo, Siga Siga. I hear it from my colleagues as well, when we jokingly say some words.
Oh, right.
But it is a nice way to break the ice. And it's also your way of reaching out to the locals that despite the fact that I'm a foreign person here, I would like to get to know your culture. And this is an instant way to connect, right?
People, stories, social issues, environment, sports, arts and culture, life, urban issues, innovation. This is the L-Air Uncut.
Welcome to Limassol Ambassadors, the podcast of L-Air Uncut channel, where we talk about diversity. And I have to admit that today our podcast is a very special one because I would say that we can already feel change in the air in Limassol thanks to the new results. And I won't go any further, but I would say that after the elections in Limassol, we have a very, very promising wave of change coming our way. And of course, here today, our guests will be able to check that out in the next few years because our guest just arrived, 2 years ago from Lithuania, Amelia, and she already calls Limassol home. So when things will be even better in a few years, you'll be able to tell us how it was the first years of change in Limassol. Amelia, thank you very much for coming to our podcast. And as I said, 2 years ago, you came to Limassol from Lithuania.
Yes, that's right.
How does it feel? I mean, after these 2 years, you already said that Limassol is like home to you. Tell us a little bit how it happened, your arrival in Limassol.
Well, to tell you honestly, I've visited Cyprus and Limassol about 9 times before actually setting foot here. It's only 3 hours away from Vilnius, where I lived for the past 15 years. So we were just here on a short visit and just had a thought that, hey, this is a nice place, and this is a nice place to live all throughout the seasons. And you've got the luxury of a beautiful climate whilst being still in Europe. So that's how it started. And basically the rest is history, the past 2 years already.
Wow. So the decision of you coming from Vilnius to Limassol, was it professional? There was a connection with a professional development or
Yes.
family? How did it work?
Well, of course, it started with a professional opportunity. So an opportunity knocked on my door. So I had this conversation with my husband and I said, like, wouldn't it be a nice opportunity for me to take this on? It's going to be a big step in my professional growth. On the personal side, when in our family life can we have such opportunity when the kids are still younger, where you could still encourage them for a travel adventure and lifestyle adventure abroad, a little bit of home away from home. So this is how we ended up here. Yeah.
And you have how many children?
I've got 3 girls.
3 girls.
Yes.
And ages?
The ages, they're 11, 8, and 4.
Wow. And
Yeah.
how does it work for them to be in a different country, new language? How does it work so far?
Well, I think they're jumping with excitement. You know, this is a very easy place to call home, to tell you honestly, because if you've got children, then you've got nature here. One of the first worries I had as a parent is that if I bring my children to an international school, are they going to be the minority there? Will they form groups and clusters when they previously were in a, how to say, like homogeneous class, meaning people are coming from the same nationalities, same language? It's easy to blend in because you're all similar. But when you are in an international group of people, that would be some worry to think about, right? Like, okay, will my child feel integrated here, or will they be coming home and saying, Mom, I don't want it here? And then when my kid comes home feeling jumpy and excited, saying that, Mom, I have friends from different parts of the world. Like, you know, then there's this spark of your curiosity about where is this country in the map and so on and so forth. So I really like how children easily integrate. I guess it's not even a question of language. I think that's something for us, for adults, to worry about. The language of children is play. Their language is smile. That's how they connect with each other. So when I saw that among my kids, then I didn't even worry about it. Yeah.
Wonderful way you put it there. The language is more about the playing and the smile than really the words they can use. I love that. Well said, Amelia. What about yourself in terms of work? Did you feel straight away welcomed? How was it?
Well, I started with Dexness here, so it's a very diverse and inclusive workplace as itself. So there is this very strong sense of community. You know, that feeling, something that I realized here in Limassol, not only in the workplace that I've been exposed to, when you come to a city like Limassol, wherein you've got a lot of nationalities within the city. I see that because, you know, there's the parent community at school, the neighborhood that we have in the workplace. When you realize that a lot of people are coming from different countries, which they call home, and if you don't have a lot of people coming from similar countries, you end up, or you don't have family and friends here, there is a stronger urge for an initiative to build your own. And that's the welcoming air that embrace not only me but also my family here. People have the initiative to say, "Hey, Amelia, I'm the mom of this one, the friend of your daughter. Shall we go and meet, you know, in our beach backyard for coffee or during sunset?" So there is such nice feeling and spirit of community, and it's a proactive take. It's not like, "Oh, I'll see you when I see you." No, it's more like, "Okay, when do we do next?" So I think this makes creating this home environment easier, because the community around you is also has that yearn to create this type of community that makes it feel home, even if you don't have your family and friends here.
Yeah. This is something that you felt also in Lithuania, because you told me before that you are a Lithuanian citizen, and your husband is Lithuanian as well. So
Yes.
you have been there for how many years?
Yeah. So I'm originally from the Philippines.
Yes,
And for the
okay.
past 15 years, I've lived in Lithuania.
15. Okay, so
Yes.
15 years already
Yes.
built your sort of mindset and
Yes.
your
So-
ways and behavior. When you got there, was it the same? Were you also feeling straight away welcomed by the locals?
Well, the approach there was different, because the intention of arriving is like, I come here for the classic reason of love, you know, and building a life there.
Okay.
And then the country is totally new. So you get to know the places. The only familiar one is the circle that's personal to you. That's your spouse and the relatives and the friends around it. It's a very welcoming culture. I'll stop right there. It's welcoming environment, I would say. From an outsider perspective, the typical stereotype among Lithuanians would be it's like a reserved and cold culture, and that could be an impression that you could typically notice in the bus, and in certain public places, and maybe I take that from the fact that maybe in cold weather it's really difficult to be smiling and so on and so on, but in my close environment I feel welcome. There it's been over like a decade of living, and when you live there you take an effort to build your workplace community, the people that to build. It's like building a house, like one by one, and you start to like it because you invested and lived there, and you grew in it as well at the same time, and it felt like a safe environment for me. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I also believe that from what you tell me, moving first from Philippines to Lithuanian, and now from Lithuania to Cyprus, to Limassol specifically, gradually you end up by becoming quite resourceful when it comes to integration, when it comes to discover new ways of collaborating with new societies that eventually it becomes also your home. Right here in Limassol, do you have any moment where you felt that the local community themselves, apart from the foreigners that you were working with, the local community, the Cypriots, they were welcoming or not welcoming? Do you have any sort of story that you remember about the first year, let's say, that you were here?
Well, the impressions that I have with the Cypriot culture is that it's warm and friendly. Yeah, so this is the impression that you might get as a tourist, but also then that's a fact that becomes validated when you become a resident here. Yeah, some simple interaction I had was a week before I moved here, I studied to get a driving license.
Okay.
But that was in Lithuania, which means you're driving on the right. So then you've got to kind of unlearn everything and learn again the new way of driving, literally. So the executive part of your brain is really functioning really consciously, because otherwise you'll get into a crash, right, when you drive. So I took driving lessons, and I was late for about 2 minutes, yeah. And then I wrote him frantically because he's in a car. So I was like, I was writing him a message and trying to call him, saying that, hey, I'm sorry, I'll be late. And then when we met, I sat in the car and said, take your seat. And then again, I apologized. Hey, I'm so sorry. I came in a few minutes late. And he said, hey, Amelia, relax. Yeah, you come here. You come here for look. It's like pointing to the outside, which is the view of the beach and the sun. You come here for a more relaxed lifestyle, yeah? So it's okay, no problem. Yeah.
That's very nice.
So, I mean, it's not about the punctuality. I still honor punctuality. It's not about the focus on the time there, but more towards the attitude. Like, why frantic over some things that, some things like that, So it's a shift of perspective as well. So I like that part. And probably that also becomes the heartbeat of the surrounding. It's not labeling itself, Limassol, this is where you get balance and nature. And that it's not even saying it literally the way it promotes itself. It's like you live there and you see it, you feel the tempo.
You feel all these elements on your daily life.
Or like the environment itself is designed for it. You go from a busy day at work, you pick your kids, you come home, you finish dinner, and then, we still have a few hours before bedtime, so let's go for a walk to the beach nearby, 5-minute walk, and then let's sit there, let the kids play with the sand, enjoy some cocktail by the sunset, and this becomes like a very nice tempo of lifestyle. Yeah.
Do you know what someone who came from Finland once told me? She stayed here for just a couple of months because we were working together on a project, and precisely this sort of daily moments that we have, and after a certain number of years we just take it for granted. It just becomes normal. And then she tells me, do you know that you have holidays daily?
Yeah.
Because all these moments are moments that anywhere else in a big city, crazy, running around, it will be connected only with that idea that you have those moments only when you are far away, somewhere on an exotic spot, having a holiday. And she said, no, you have this every day. You don't need to go anywhere for holidays. Well, that's debatable,
I echo
but it is very
totally.
true, isn't it?
Yeah, I echo those thoughts entirely. It feels like that to us. So it doesn't have to be in a grand place or something. It's just the lifestyle itself, the environment that just gives you this feeling of holiday. But the good part is that you don't need to switch to holiday mode. It's your everyday life, which gives you this appreciation of the lifestyle that you get out of your living here, because you get the luxury of having that access to nature, being in the city, but at the same time not but at the same time having your opportunity and access to your workplace, because this is also a business hub, right? A lot of international organizations are here. A lot of different businesses are here. So for foreigners like me, or for working moms like me, it's a good place to be, because you get the quality of lifestyle that you want your family to have, not only during holidays, but also at the same time, you're not sacrificing work or anything, because you still need to sustain life. You still, you'd need, you'd have a source of workplace, which is also where the city provides through its business hubs here as well.
So from what I feel from your stories is that when you first heard of Limassol and you came over to check out about, possibility of maybe taking that job offer, you saw Limassol, or you were introduced to Limassol as a business hub, as an international business hub. Is this true, or what was, let's say,
my introduction,
the label that you would put, let's say?
Well, my husband and I like to fly and take trips, short trips. So one winter weekend, we saw a flight from Vilnius to Limassol, and then we asked our mother-in-law, "Can you be with the kids?" And while we take a short trip off to somewhere sunny, just for the weekend.
Just 3 hours and a half.
Yeah, just 3 hours and a half trip. Yeah, perfect. That's right. So then there that comes this appreciation of it, because it's a place in Europe that even in winter you've got the luxury of summer weather. Back in Vilnius, where we live, we have a house in the capital, but also we have a small apartment in the seaside, which is 4 hours and a half away by car.
4 hours and a half.
4 hours and a half. Driving
to your
plus the kids stop over and so on. That's why I say 4.5. Yeah. So we were even considering it's like to drive from our home within the same country by car, or you take a flight from Vilnius to Limassol. It's like 3 hours and a half. Yes, and then you've got a sure warm weather in winter. Yes. That's a very nice analogy for us, that we get to kind of also appreciate that.
So it was impossible to refuse, basically. Yes, after that. All right. So what about specific areas? I always ask our guests to choose one, or let's say tell us what is your favorite spots in Limassol, so that those who don't know very well the city and the district of Limassol might get some suggestions from you. So what would be for you the favorite spots?
Well, I think it's like a golden triangle of stuff, yeah? So I'll start with one point in the triangle is summer here. This is where I live, yeah?
All right.
So this is towards even the end of Limassol already. Yes. So it's, if you see, there are no words here. So it's... this is the Limassol Star. It's between St. Raphael and Park Lane area. Yes, so I put it between there. It's a beautiful promenade, beach promenade. It's a nice place for walk. Yeah. And this is where my family and I hang out oftentimes after dinner, enjoying, after school time, after work time, after dinner time, just enjoying the sunset and the beach there. The other part of the Golden Triangle, I would say, was like jumping off towards the side of your area. So I'm just going to drag this map over. And this is an area. This is in the area of Pisuri, and I just
right.
like call the whole town because it's a very beautiful place. They've got a beautiful village. They also have beautiful trekking spots. So my family and I like to be in nature a lot. So we like when we don't have an idea where to go because we've visited every village up in the mountains and are
So
also
you go on a regular basis.
beyond
Okay.
Limassol. We've even ticked every place we would like to see here. So when we just want to chill, and enjoy nature, we also go there, whether it's at the beach or some nice trekking spots. Yeah. And
Well chosen.
and the other one would be
more?
towards the mountains. We always pick a small village or a church that we haven't visited towards there. So for me, it's like a golden triangle of such: beach, trekking, beautiful cove towards Pisuri. This is home, and this
the
is the
villages.
mountain and the villages.
And all this always less than an hour drive.
That
which
is true.
Which is I would say the magic of being in a small place. At the beginning I was very worried. I mean, what am I going to do in such a small country? But the reality is that you end up by doing so much more because everything is so close. So you end up by not thinking of how far this or the other thing is. Even going to Nicosia for an event or going to Paphos for another event.
Yeah.
What about your connection when you go to the village? What about your connection with the locals there? Most of the time is older people. Do you know a few words in Greek? Have you already started?
I think even my best teachers now are my children. Kalimera, Efkaristo, Siga Siga. I hear it from my colleagues as well. When we jokingly say some words.
Right.
But it is a nice way to break the ice, and it's also your way of reaching out to the locals. That despite the fact that I'm a foreign person here, I would like to get to know your culture, and this is an instant way to connect, right?
What about in terms of work? Okay, this is what you do, let's say on your during your free time and with your family when you go around. What about during your work connections? How does it work? You have usually to deal with the customers or not really? I mean, how what exactly do you do?
Okay, let me start with I'm a managing consultant of Talent Ed, and basically I provide psychometric assessments or behavioral assessments to organizations to build their leadership capabilities and work with team development. When I work with clients that I have, we always have this conversation saying that, to build tech product is easy, to set the direction or strategy of an organization, it's easy part, What usually flails is the people dynamic part, because that's always an unknown. You bring in a new leader in the team, the dynamics change, or you change the direction, you split two teams or combine them or merge or acquire a new organization. The people dynamic part is much harder than the product, the tech part. Well, maybe a lot of people might contradict me on that one, but one thing I notice in my line of work is that there's always a similar pattern of challenges that people have when they have the challenges with people dynamics within the organization. Yeah, and probably because that's the constant unknown, because you'll not have a single formula for every team member that you have. There's a lot of dimensions of the personality as well. So this is where I come in and help organizations and leaders set directions for their team purpose and so on.
So basically you are a crucial person when it comes to change, right?
Yes, we actually, not I'm the person, but the tools that we use.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm only a facilitator for that. Yeah.
Right. This is why at the introduction I said that you are the person that we want to have on our podcast on our first week of change in Limassol. So when you say when you have someone in front of you and you have a certain number of tests that thanks to scientific now proven results, that they are going to help you identify if that person is going to be the right person for that team. Do you do this at the recruiting time, or do you do this at a later stage?
Well, for me, I'm more of an advocate of using tools. I even try to avoid to use the word test because it puts people it programs people to say that, oh, I have to say
It's
the
an
right
exam.
thing, right?
Yeah, it's an exam.
It's a profile. It's like your brain mirror. It's I use it more for development rather than recruitment. And this is sometimes also what I advocate for when I speak with business leaders or even HR department leaders, that, you use these tools not to measure performance, and they're not meant to measure performance at all. You use them for the sake of development, because you cannot approach change without having self-awareness. Yeah. So this is a very important tool to help people frame how they understand, how they deal with people they work with. Like, how do I communicate with you effectively, or how does our team look like under stress? What's the potential dynamic that could happen when that happens, and how can we avoid that, because we already know that, or we even create such a safe environment to talk about it, and people that create some level of psychological safety among teams. And for example, when I work with some startups, one of the common challenges I hear would be when asked, like, what's a typical challenge you face, or where does it go sidewards, when you're in the traction for success. Typical things that I would hear would be fear of failure. Yeah, and this is a recurring theme regardless of the industry. So creating such space and facilitating that enables, teams to feel like, okay, this is how we can actually better innovate and voice out different opinions and create a healthy environment for conflict. Yeah.
I would like now to ask you a very special exercise. Let's just say that in front of you, you have this big corporation, big organization that is Limassol. Because what you are describing there, if instead of the word teams, you use the word group in terms of, let's say, cultural background, nationality maybe, but nowadays nationalities, I mean, we have all mixed nationalities. I mean, it's not anymore just nationality. Let's say cultural backgrounds. So if we put various teams to work in an effective way so that the company becomes efficient, productive, successful, we could do that as well with Limassol and all the diversity of groups, population groups in terms of with different cultural backgrounds. How would you see this possible? How would you see, let's say, a good exercise, develop a good exercise to make all these groups to work together? The Lithuanians, the Portuguese, the French, the Germans, the Italians, the Russians.
I actually do that exercise when I work with cross-cultural teams. I put them on stage and I just like ask the question, what if this room were the world? How are we going to work together in simple day-to-day workplace exercises in terms of how do we communicate with each other? What if you mess up in one area? How would I say that to you, and how would you perceive that or respond to that? So understanding how different cultures, let's say, or different personalities might respond to different situations. I'd cut it down to 5 dimensions on how people communicate, how people lead, how people tend to give direct negative feedback, or how people even try to persuade others. When you pitch an idea or when you pitch your business, where do you stand? And I think this is again a self-awareness piece coming from the idea that, okay, you are originally from Portugal and I'm from the Philippines. If you knew that people from my culture, mostly from Asian culture, would communicate in more layered way, maybe you'd take more efforts to maybe ask more questions and things like that. So it is a way of like drilling those different dimensions of culture or also personality and see where you stand and how close you are from me, to bridge that gap. So there is no one unfortunately, there is no one singular recipe or formula that this is the perfect team dynamic or perfect team composition. But it's more like knowing what you have at your disposal. What can you do to meet that person, and like you don't need to have to close the gap between that. It's more like recognizing that, because whenever you point one finger to another, three fingers point back at you. So what can I do on my end to make it more effective between us?
So would you agree with me if I would say something that I have written many times? Diversity in any urban society, Limassol, Paris, Lisbon, Vilnius, wherever, it's a debate, a topic that has to be dealt by all of us, all the internationals that are living in that society. Because sometimes you get some sort of ideas that those who are integrated, it's a different thing, and those who are not integrated and have issues is a separate issue. Personally, if we turn this into, let's say, a scenario of a company, if you want all of them to contribute to the same effective, productive, successful, and collaborative society, we have to put them all together in the same room and exchange ideas. Would you agree with me on that?
Partly, but I think there's some missing piece on that. Let me put it in a metaphor. Diversity is like inviting everyone to the party. From Philippines, Portugal, okay, from Poland, from Lithuania, from America. Okay, let's put them all in the room. So you're inviting everyone to the dance, but inclusion is being asked to dance. Yeah. So this is often, inclusion is the part that's oftentimes overlooked, and unfortunately, this is the more important part of it. Yeah, a lot of organizations, cities can call themselves diverse. Yeah, we're very diverse. Truly, you are, because you represent different nationalities and so on, or maybe even diversity of thought. It's not only about nationalities alone, but the more important question that people need to ask whenever they deal with DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is how inclusive are you? When you've got the mix already, are you making the mix work? Are you creating an environment that actually encourage inclusion? Yeah. So this is another part, because you could have that big party where different nationalities exist. But what if I dig into there? Are they in their own small networking tables and cocktails sitting with the same group of people? Then that's not actually celebrating diversity, or not even maximizing the power of diversity of the differences that you have. Yeah. So this,
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I would never put it in terms of a party, and because precisely I feel that as well. I mean, when we say put everybody in a room or put everybody in a debate, it means that it's round of table. Everybody has a say. Yeah. Everybody's going to have the time to tell their story. So that is more the way I see it. Anyway, I think, Amelia, that we could, go on and talk for hours, and we're going to have you on some other moments and some other conversations that will happen very soon in terms of diversity. But for now, what I would like to ask you is one last question. How do you promote now, because now here we're talking about a potential Limassol ambassador, so how do you promote the image of Limassol when you talk about Limassol to your family and friends back in Vilnius?
Limassol is a very multifaceted city. Here you've got the luxury of nature. So across the stretch of the map, you can just simply see that you've got the access to the Mediterranean Sea. So that means access to nature, access to the lifestyle that the Mediterranean beach lifestyle would give you. But at the same time, it does not let you sacrifice the access to the workplace, access to an international community. So you've got the best of both worlds. You don't have to fly out to get some, nice beach type of holiday, but at the same time go back so you could work. So here you actually have the marriage of both, which is a very beautiful thing, because you get to have that lifestyle that you might wish. For example, for me, I get the lifestyle that I want for my children to have, but at the same time not sacrificing the opportunities that I have for my work and professional growth. So here you've got the business hub, the nature hub / the cultural hub of the melting pot of different cultures that live in this place. So that's what I
Wonderful.
can describe Limassol.
Wonderful way of promoting Limassol.
Yeah.
I would say that what I feel from your stories is that the work, the balance of life-work balance for you is definitely the magic of Limassol at the moment, isn't it?
It is. As a mom and as a working professional, I really appreciate it from that perspective, because nothing needs to be sacrificed. You get the best for not for yourself alone, but also for your family, and also the kind of quality of work that you provide to your workplace.
Thank you very much, Amelia. It was a very interesting conversation.
Awesome.
And thank you for your time. I think you're doing a very, very good job with your integration so fast, 2 years only, and you already call Limassol home.
Yes.
So thank you. And thank you as well to all the listeners or viewers that are with us today. As I said, a very good example that change is definitely here in Limassol. So until next podcast with our next potential Limassol ambassador, thank you very much for listening and being with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is the El Air Uncut.